In 2023, Missouri quarterback Brady Cook had a massive season, and coming into the 2024 season, there was a ton of expectations for this team. And being in the most competitive division, it was always going to be hard to pull out wins. However, Brady Cook once again delivered in 2024. And Missouri went on to go 9-3 in the SEC, and they finished with the top 25 ranking. And Cook, of course, earned himself a big invite to the Carib Royale Hula Bowl. And today we're going to break down what we saw on tape from Cook. I'm excited for this one. Let's just jump right into it. How are you feeling today, Coach?
Hey, really excited to be here and working with you.
Absolutely, man. So I want to just get right into this. Statistically, Brady Cook didn't have as big of a season this season, right? But I want to ask you, you're super high on Brady Cook. What do you see in this quarterback, and what are your thoughts on him?
Yeah, really high on Brady Cook. First of all, the body of work for a quarterback over the life of their college career is so important. Production is one facet of that, but how the play caller calls plays in the red zone can impact how many touchdowns they throw, right? So we don't know. Statistics don't always tell the story. What we see with Brady is we see an athletic quarterback, a guy that can extend plays. He can make all the moves when under pressure, buy extra time in the pocket. And most importantly, he doesn't have to do all that because he is generally an on-time and accurate passer, makes decisions on the schedule of the play more often than not, and has the arm strength to make most of the NFL throws that you would expect him to make. So, stats be damned. We're really high on Brady. We think he's going to be a great asset to the NFL.
Absolutely. And it's kind of interesting because I almost feel like he's being a little overlooked. When you think about like the draft process, we got all the quarterbacks at the top. And I feel like people overlook Cook. But the thing is, this guy's winning.
Yeah.
What should matter more than actual wins, right? And
Yeah.
that too, it's the SEC is not a joke, right?
No doubt. And I think the last game of his regular season, I'm fairly certain it was that he played in a snowstorm. And you watch the film of that and you say, well, what's it take for a guy like that to win a game in a snowstorm? First quarter he's throwing balls that are going 6 feet, in front of the receiver on account of those are probably conditions the SEC doesn't have to play a lot in. And by the end of the game, I'm fairly certain he ran for the game-winning touchdown, 40 yards right down a newly plowed hash. With snow all over the field, and you say to yourself, like, does the guy have it in him to be a competitor? And one of the rules we have in our quarterback room, in the places I've coached is, when your team needs you the most, are you capable of making a play to do what's best for your team? And this guy, in addition to being on time, accurate, and cerebral as a QB, he does that. When the team needs him most, he just finds a way to gut it out and win. And like we started, statistics are what they are in terms of really. The only one we're looking at is touchdown passes, right? Like if you take that one away, he's had a great year, a great career, and we anticipate that he's going to have a really good NFL career as well.
He'll obviously be one of the quarterbacks at the Hula Bowl, so I'm excited for that. And anybody that does not know, Coach Scott Phillips here has coached some of the quarterbacks at the Hula Bowl over the last couple of years that are in the NFL at the moment, right? Guys like Sean Clifford, guys like Jake Plummer, Carter Bradley. These guys are all at the Hula Bowl. They're all on NFL rosters today. And Coach Scott Phillips will once again be the offensive coach for Team Brian Billick at the Hula Bowl this year. So
Yes,
it's going to be an exciting time. But enough of the talking, man. We can talk all we want about these guys, but I want to get into the tape. All right, I think the tape is where it's always at. We're going to start right away with the first play here.
First play. This is really the first play of the game against Texas A&M. So you're dealing with good competition here. So what you're going to see here is Brady drop back. He takes what we call a modified three-step drop out of the shotgun, and he hits a perfect 25-yard back shoulder throw, really to inside pressure. So if you look from the box angle here, he's got a man in his face, and usually what happens when a QB gets a man in his face is he's going to start using QB movement, whether that's a flush or a bailout, or he's going to step up or slide. Brady kind of times this thing right, knows where he's going with the football ahead of time, and he releases the ball in the sight of pressure and puts this thing exactly where you want to be. And if you look at that play one more time, you'll see, from the point of the line of scrimmage there to the point that he threw the ball was exactly 25 yards. And that's a pre-scripted decision there from the quarterback. So he sees one-on-one coverage there, with the safety, pulling up there toward the box at the snap. So he knows he's got 1-for-1. You're throwing that ball exactly from the 25-yard line. You want to put that thing right at about the 50 and along somewhere between we call it the red stripe. It's an invisible stripe on the sideline and the sideline itself. He puts it right there. Receiver probably turned around just a little too early, but he still makes the catch. and that's a huge play to get things started for the Tigers here on the first play from scrimmage.
Yeah, that was the first play of the game too. It was a really, really nice pass. You had the blitz coming. I don't want to overlook this fact. Texas A&M is a really, really, really good
Yeah,
football team, especially on the defense side of the ball. They got Nick Scorton. So people are like, hey, this guy's going to be one of the top 5 or 7 picks in the draft. They got a couple other guys on that side of the football as well.
yeah, and for us, when we're scouting, when we're looking at film, the wins and losses, the yards, the touchdowns, like that stuff is there's too many variables that are out of any one player's control, right? Like you could lose a game strictly because your defense didn't show up. I mean, so that's that. When you're evaluating a player, for us, we look at what they do based on what they're asked to do, and then if they go above and beyond that, all the better, right? But like on that last one, we know he was asked to put that ball at 25 yards back shoulder when the safety comes up into the box, and he's got 1-for-1 against a corner with a matchup he likes, and he did.
Absolutely. It was a really, really nice pass. Here's another one. So we're just getting into the second play
Yeah.
here. What do you see on this one, Coach?
On this one here, this is an interesting one. This is like an old school bluff route, right? So the tight end's kind of coming underneath the line of scrimmage, drawing up the linebackers. And, candidly, if you roll it back, the primary read, I guess it was the X receiver, but he's open. I mean, you could take that and make a 3-yard gain out of it, and you'd be totally right in the eyes of the coach. Like that's a plus for the play. However, what he notices if you run it back again is he realizes that he's got a switch go, which is, let's alert. It's an alert. Let's see, did we get the victory? And we did. So that sideline route on the switch go that's heading down the sideline, he beat his man to the sideline, and that guy thought, okay, this is a flat. He must be throwing the bluff underneath. He wasn't. He was wrong, and he just floats this thing up on time, accurate, with perfect touch. And oh, by the way, 75 yards later, it's a touchdown. And on those kinds of plays, coach quarterbacks a long time here. More often than not, they want to take the safe decision, particularly at this point in the game. They're down early. Get that 5-yard gain on 1st and 10 and make something happen. And instead, Brady is able to keep his eyes downfield, look for a potential flaw in the system defensively, which they had, and no one over the top. And he hits the switch go, the wheel route there for, 75. He could have hit it for 375. That thing was going until he got to the lake. So that was going to be a good one.
The score was 0-10 at that point. So you got a little bit of pressure. You got to score some points, and definitely delivered on that one. All right, let's get into the third play here.
Yeah. So, all right. So here we are. We're Q2 midway through. Game's getting a little bit out of hand here for Mizzou. We're down by a lot. What are we going to do here? How are we going to stay in this thing? The big touchdown play had been called back on a penalty and all that. So now what are we going to do? Okay. So, if you look at this one, I know we're kind of high up in the view, but extends the play here, right? So he uses his ability to escape an outside pass rush, arrest their movement. Now he gets outside. Okay. What am I going to do? Makes this move, makes that move, heads across the 35, gets a big 3rd down conversion. And, again, it can't be underemphasized here. You're playing against A&M, and you're playing into, drop 7 coverage here. So there's going to be 3 guys in the underneath area there to chase him down. And he's still able to escape. That's a tough escape right there. Fortunately, the guy kind of fell over, gave him a break. But right here, he could be run out of bounds, take the easy way out. Nope. Juke, outruns another man. And really, again, could have just settled for it right there, but he ends up getting a few extra, gets the 1st down. When we talk about his athleticism and his escapability and using his legs to extend plays, that's the stuff we're talking about. It's it's reminiscent of a guy who's been in the league for a while, Heineke, a little bit, like one of those guys, just like a never say die kind of a fighter. And he's got that. He's really got that magic in him. So really good player. And that was definitely a really good play there to get a 1st down for his team when they needed him.
I feel like it's always overlooked with quarterbacks. If you're not putting up big numbers, people sometimes sleep on some of these quarterbacks. But I think one of the things NFL teams are realizing more is, you want quarterbacks that are well coached. You want guys that can make plays, run an offense, right? It's not all about stats all the time, right? And you want a guy that can protect the football. And Brady Cook does a phenomenal job protecting the football. Over the last 2 years, this guy has 43 total touchdowns to only 8 interceptions.
Whew. Yeah.
That's crazy to think, right? And again, it's in the SEC, and I can't overstate that because of the fact that, what this guy's doing statistically is leading to wins.
Yeah, look, it is really tough to play the schedule they play and finish in the top 25. And there's some significant victories in there that kind of put them there. But you can see a lot of potential in him, no doubt. So
absolutely. 2 more plays I want to get into, Coach.
Yeah.
We got this first one here. Walk me through this one.
All right, yeah. So South Carolina, we're in the first quarter here. This is a play where I want to look at his footwork in the pocket here. So he gets interior pressure, finds a way to get out of there, and then he still delivers a strike on a deep comeback, open, keeping his eyes downfield and knowing what he has to work with. So, look, I offensive line is designed to keep you upright, but they're only designed to keep you upright for a period of time and in a certain place. And at this point, you got a good team that got in there, made some interior pressure on him. He's able to escape outside and still deliver a strike for a big first down. Receiver does him a favor and gets some extra yards after the play, and those are obviously good things to have. But again, it looks routine, right? It looks like a routine kind of thing, but a lot of guys fold under that kind of pressure. They make an errant throw. They don't have the athleticism to get out of the way. Brady not only has the athleticism to do it, but he also had the mindset and the wherewithal that he could still make a first down out of this play, and that's exactly what he does with a very deep dropout or comeback route there on the boundary.
I think it gets overlooked sometimes, being able to make some of these guys miss. Some quarterbacks go down here. There's quarterbacks that aren't able to escape and create, and Cook does a really nice job. This is a key moment too of this game, right? You want to be able to pick up yards, keep the drive going. We got one more play here that I want to kind of get into.
Yeah, so this last one is interesting. So this game, was a back and forth, and this play right here was effectively a play to win the game. And if you run it back, it was kind of a designed slot fade here. Okay, right. So you've got like a wide hitch and then a slot fade heading toward the sideline. But with the coverage that they have and the speed that South Carolina has, generally speaking, at this point in the game, you're going to need to throw an underthrown drive or some kind of back shoulder is another term. But you got to get that guy on his heels so he's running upfield with you. So you have to have enough time in the pocket to do that, right? Give yourself some space. And then you have to throw it to a spot pre-designed ahead of time. In this case, it looks like it was about a 30-yard throw. There was never a point once he saw the corner slam down on the wide hitch. There was never a point that he wasn't throwing this ball. 1, 2, 3, perfect placement. And if you look at it, right, the receiver's then able to allow the corner to fly by on coverage and go for the touchdown. Now, great play by the receiver, great concentration, really good route, holding the bottom of the numbers on that slot fade. Right, but a perfect throw by the quarterback on an underthrown drive there, and not getting caught up, not trying to bomb it over somebody's head or show off your arm talent, but put it in a place where he can catch it so that he can make that play and score the touchdown. Now, that should have been the play that won them the game. Unfortunately, their defense gave up a touchdown with like less than a minute to go, and history didn't end up on Mizzou's side in that game. But for that moment in the game, that was a huge moment and a huge play. And that's the kind of stuff we look for when we're looking at a quarterback, for the Hula Bowl, ultimately for the NFL, is what's he going to do with a man in his face, a minute to go, an away stadium with a very challenging environment, all the pressure in the world is on you. He makes that play, makes that throw, and ultimately gives his team the lead.
Yeah, that's a really, considering the moment of the game that is, considering, you have that clutch gene, right? Are you able to make it happen when your team needs to? And it's a really, really nice pass. You got a little bit of pressure coming, slot fade action over here to the left. Just a really, really nice play. I definitely like, what I've seen from Brady Cook. One of the things I do during the draft process is I go and look at all the different quarterbacks. If you just think over the last couple of years, we've had quarterbacks go in the second round. Quarterbacks won the 6th, 7th round that have had success. Derek Carr had success. Brock Purdy's had success recently as well. Jalen Hurts, he was in a top 5 quarterback. So we've had quarterbacks have success in the NFL. So, when you go down the list of all the quarterbacks that are coming out this year, Brady Cook's definitely one of the guys that I personally like a lot. I think, if a team's able to bring this guy in and maybe develop him a little bit, I think there's some potential there. But I want to ask you regarding that, like, should a team bring him in and let him sit for a year, 2 years? What's kind of the developmental process for him?
Yeah, it's tough. Each team has their own needs, right? So, we with the Hula Bowl, we're all-star game experts, we're talent experts, but we never say we're draft experts. And the reason for that is because we don't know what teams need. What I can tell you from talking to the kid, from going over some preparation with him, I can tell you that he's smart, he's intelligent, he's timely, he's willing to learn, he's very humble, very grateful kid, and I think he adds value to any quarterback room. After the couple of years he's had in the SEC and what they've asked him to do at Mizzou versus what he might be asked to do in the pros, yeah, it would be great for him to get into a situation where he could get into a pro-style QB system with a stable quarterback in place and not get thrust into a starting spot too early. But I'll be honest with you. I wish that for all the quarterbacks getting drafted from the first overall all the way down. It's very unusual to have to play. Uh, think about how many 18-year-old freshmen are thrust into games and what their success rates are. It's very low to see that sort of thing. I think 1 year of ripening on the vine goes a long way. And I think that would be the best situation for any quarterback, but for Cook as well. Let's get him on a roster, hopefully, where he can contribute to the room, add value, learn what it takes to work like a pro. And I think he's going to be one of those guys that has the capacity to do it. He's not a fly by night or a guy that's like relying on his legs too much. Like, this is a guy who prepares and makes reads, understands what he's looking at in coverages and whatnot. And once he adjusts to the speed of the NFL, I think he'll be a really good player for a long time.
Yeah, it's interesting because I think we're seeing more teams, kind of recognize that. An example, Baker Mayfield didn't work out right away, right, and he has to kind of start over. Now he's having success. We've seen that happen with Sam Darnold. Geno Smith's another guy that's kind of happened with.
Yeah, I mean, if you look back far enough, that was the model, right? Like, if you go back in time, quarterbacks always sat for a while, ripened as backups, as we say, ripen on the vine, bloom where you're planted, pick your cliche, but they were learning how to become a professional player.
I want to ask you one final question. If he is able to get onto a roster, he gets into a scheming system, what can Cook improve on early on outside of like the speed elements and kind of
Sure.
getting used to the NFL speed and those type of things? What can he improve in just early on?
Yeah, I mean, so one of the things with him, so he's an athletic quarterback. And so, when you deal with athletic quarterbacks, you want to have escapability, but you also want your escapability to have an action plan. So, Cook, actually not too dissimilar from Baker Mayfield, he tends to drop and scramble to his throwing side, buy himself room, and then he starts running around a little bit like he's Michael Vick in playing the old school John Madden football, right? He's dropping back 40 yards to make a throw. What we want to see out of him in an area he can improve would probably be to start having an action plan when it comes to pressure that's more robotic in nature, systematic. So, as an example, if there's A-gap pressure coming right up the middle, slide out of the way and climb up in the pocket so that that you can get out of the way. If you're looking at a guy coming in from blocked pressure from the tackle, step forward, step up, and then slide and replace where that guy was. Like, there's systematic ways that that I've been taught over the years, and now I teach to help to help these guys get a little more systematic about it. And hey, we're going to teach him that at the Hula Bowl too. And I think ultimately that's going to be something that he's going to need to improve on and get better at to get to his maximum potential, and learn how to force defenders to change direction and arrest their movement when they're pressuring him. And at the NFL, look, the SEC is fast. He's used to that. A lot of these guys in the NFL are coming from the SEC, so he'll be used to fast guys running in his face. Now it's just a question of how to make it really, really fluid and really consistent and responsive so that he's upright. Because when he's upright, he's making a lot of good plays.
Absolutely, man. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure to hit that thumbs up button, subscribe. Coach, is there anything else you want to throw in there?
No, I mean, we're really appreciative of this, and I hope it's the first of many opportunities to talk about our guys in the Hula Bowl. We got a really good roster this year.
Absolutely.